Today's video is going to be about how I organise magic within the world of Dural and in my Dungeons and Dragons. It's not going to be about casting spells and so on. It's going to be about the organisation of the actual groups of types of wizards and why they are what they are. I'm Galen, and this is Galen's Got Parkinson's. Hooray! It's actually that hand that shakes. I'm making that one do that. This is just my way of doing things. I'm not claiming it to be original. I'm not claiming it to be clever. I'm not claiming it to be better than your way. In fact, I want you to comment about what your ways are. That's what makes this site so exciting to me, that we're all learning so much off each other. I'm not a fan of wizards and magic users being able to spoil games. You know, if you've got a magic user who can do everything, he can fight all the bad guys. The only way to stop these characters with huge amount of hit points is to use a powerful magic user. What do the rest of us do who are not magic users? And in 5th edition, which is what I'm playing at the moment, even as a halfling, I've got cantrips and I've got magical items. No, I don't agree with that. I don't see how you can use them. It's like giving me a book written in Russian. I can't read it. What's the point? I'm not clever enough. I, first of all, believe that in my world, that all magic comes from an element, and that element I call magicite. It's a mineral. It exists within the earth. It's a sort of deep purple colour, and it seeps into the atmosphere, and it's the magicite in the atmosphere that magic users use. So magic users have a staff with some sort of crystal on the end, and almost like a lightning rod, they can then draw the magicite out of the atmosphere into the rod, boost their magical power. That's the first thing that they have to be able to do. Now, to be able to do that, they have to have an innate magical ability. They have to be born with the ability to control magicite. So you create your character, and then you throw a d6. If you get a 6, you have magical ability. That's only true for humans. Elves and dwarves, it's harder. They've got to get a 0 on a d10. If you know that you've got magical ability, you've then got to look at your family background, because when I create characters, the first thing I do is to say, throw a dice. That is your socio-economic class now. And it goes from slave right up to royalty. Then you throw a dice to see what your family circumstances were like 100 years ago. 5 generations. I say five lots of 20. And then you have to make sense of the story, because you might now be a slave, but your family 100 years ago might have been royalty. So you've got to work that out. There's no rules about that. You tell yourself that story. Then you throw a d6. Oh, I've got magical power. Ah, fantastic. I'll be a magic user. Ah, but will you? Because in my world, magic is very much an upper class skill. Because to go to the magical universities costs you 10,000 gold pieces a year, and you are there for a long time. I base it on the old Victorian English public school system. So you're really looking at the middle classes and above to go to the magic universities. And you've got to have a certain level of intelligence. You've got to have an intelligence of 9 or above, because if you have an intelligence of less than 9 on 3 dice, you're illiterate. There's no point going. If you haven't got a wisdom of 9 or above, you're not going to be able to cast spells and resist magic, because you need more than an average level of ability. So those factors decide whether or not you can even go to the universities. Now, you might have innate magic and not be able to afford to go to university. There is a passageway for that. It's a bit wilder and more unpredictable. I call those magicians hedge magicians. I know different people use that term in different ways, but that's what I call them. And it means the magic users who aren't affiliated to one of the university houses. They pick up things. They might be found in small towns and villages trying to stave off some evil. So assume you've got an innate ability and your parents can afford 10,000 gold pieces a year, and you're clever and you're wise. So you're accepted into the university. Now when you go to the universities, you have a choice of colour of house. The house colours are the colours of the rainbow. So red, orange, green, blue, etc. The most powerful houses are the three primary colours: red, blue and yellow. Between them you've got a mixture. So you've got red, fire magic, and then you've got yellow, light magic. But in between is a mixture of the two, orange magic. When I went to secondary school in England, UK, we had grammar schools, and you had to pass an exam to get to a grammar school. Now I passed the exam, but where I lived there wasn't a grammar school, so I went to a secondary modern school, and in the secondary modern school we had forms, and they went from A1, A2 right down to E2. Now A1 and A2 were the grammar school stream. A1 was the cleverer kids, and A2 I was in with a kid. We passed 11 plus, but not as well as they did. Now if you equate that to the university system, I couldn't have been a red or a yellow magic user because I wasn't in the A1 stream. So if you're in the A1 stream, you could go any of the houses, but I would have had to choose one of the middle houses. So I could have been orange, I could have been green, that's blue and yellow, and then I could have been indigo, because that's blue and violet. So the red wizards are the wizards of fire. Yellow wizards, wizards of light. Orange wizards know a bit of fire and a bit of light. Green wizards know a little bit of light and a little bit of blue wizardry, which in blue is water. Indigo, which is a bit of water, blue, and a bit of violet, which are spells of the mind, ESP, hypnotism, levitation, those areas. For the first 3 years, and again this is modelled on the British education system that I went through in the 70s. So you go when you're 11 years old, and for the first 3 years you study everything. 7 subjects, you study everything. So at universities you study all of the 7 branches of magic in an academic way, but at the end of the first year you learn one level 1 spell, and that one level 1 spell is yours. You write it down, you keep it, you've got it, you know that spell. Second year you learn a second one, level 2 this time, and then you learn a level 3 spell. So by the end of 3 years you've got 3 spells in your bag, done. The orange wizards and the middle wizards don't learn 3 because they're not clever enough, they learn 2. Whoever's an odd number, they lose 1. So if I was an orange wizard, because of my academic ability, I could have 1 fire spell, say level 1, and I could have a light spell at level 2. Then you go on to the 4th and 5th years. And again, like in the British school system, what we did was we chose 5 subjects that we wanted to get our O levels in. And so for year 4, year 5, you're working on 5 different spells, and you learn them at level 4 and you learn them at level 5. If you're in the middle category, you can only learn 4. You can't do the 5. You do 2 red and 2 yellow if you're an orange wizard like me. I knew there was a reason why I put this t-shirt on. I was going to put one on with a fancy pattern, but I found this instead. It was on the top of the pile. I'm such a model of sartorial elegance, aren't I? You then go into the 6th form. The 6th form is 2 years studying 3 spells in your colour, or orange wizard, 2 spells. At the end of that, you go to university and you start to wear robes. And I study one thing, and I study it for 3 years. Now, assuming I pass that exam, I'm a wizard. Now I'm qualified, I'm a wizard. I get a pointy hat, I get a thing to put around here that is the colour and the motif of my house as an orange wizard. If I want to, at that point, if I'm really keen on academia, I can stay at the university. If I do another year, I can become a doctor of something. But now you're not just learning a spell, you are taking something magical and you're studying it and developing it and examining it and experimenting in it, maybe even inventing a new spell. You can carry on. If you do another 2 years, you can become a doctor. And at that point, you can call yourself professor. Now, a professor wears white robes, but they still always wear the colour of their magic in their adornments. So I would be wearing a white robe, I'd still have an orange pointy hat, and I might have orange trimmings, and I might have an orange silk sash that goes around here, and I can teach at the university. But this all takes time, and a human only lives 70 years, so there's a payoff. There's only a 1 in 6 chance of anyone in your questing party being magical. And even then it's a question of, can they afford to go? So you're limiting the power of magic straight away, in a way that I think is realistic. Magic users in my world are upper class. They are the orthodox, proper way of doing things. They're governed by rules. They are part of society, an important part of society. The hedge magicians are not. They're off on their own and frowned upon. So magic in my world is very hierarchical, and it is very much down to class and economics. It's more to do with how much money mummy and daddy have got than how much ability you've got. Not everybody's cup of tea. Yeah, I know that. That's fine. Pick and choose, see what you think. I was asked to do this video by a couple of people's comments. I'm going to make a video tomorrow about how I cast spells and use the magic that we've learned in my games. And it's going to annoy some of you. Sorry. Anyway, I haven't annoyed you yet, have I? Have I? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Look after yourselves. Be good. Keep your bowels open.